Hi, it's Jennifer O'Connor with Athena here to show you how to create your own model in the Athena web app, Athena Building LCA, and also show you how to import a bill of materials. So 1 second while I share my screen. Okay, so you want to create a new project. So you're going to start on the projects page and you're going to click the plus sign here to create a new project. And that brings up a quick start screen where you just need to enter a couple of pieces of information to get going. So let's call my project web app demo. You'll see the default lifecycle period is 60 years. You, of course, can change that. Enter your first building name here, first building. And then we need a geographic region. I'll click in the box and start the arrow and start typing a couple of letters for my region. And that's it. That's all you need to get going. So I'm going to click the continue button, and then it's going to take it a half a minute to set up our new project and get us ready to start filling in some information. Right. Okay. So we are landing here on the first page, the first section of the 3 sections needed to create a model. This first section, building information, is all optional, so I'm going to skip that and just go straight to bill of materials. The table's opened as empty, of course. We haven't created a bill of materials yet. If you want, you can build this up row by row manually by clicking the plus button here. Every time you click that, you'll get an empty row ready for you to populate it field by field. But instead of that, I'm going to import a file and show you how to do an import and mapping exercise. Now, before you import, ideally you've prepared ahead of time and you've got a really nice, well-organized Excel file so that you can import it easily and map it quickly. If you want to practice this and you don't have a bill of materials, you can go into the Athena Impact Estimator for buildings and make a model or open up one of your existing models, and you can export from the Impact Estimator to create a bill of materials already well organized and ready to go for importing here. Okay, I'm going to click that import button, and it's going to initiate a series of steps that we need to go through to map our imported information. Please bear in mind that you cannot do a save until you complete all these steps. Okay, first, let me show you the file that I'm going to import. So I've got this little Excel file that I'm going to use. I've created a really bare bones, rough, minimal file to import with just the 3 minimum pieces of information you need for this to work. You need a list of material names or some kind of identification, unit of measure, and quantity. Okay, so that's what we'll import. I will, while I'm here, show you the other tab in this worksheet I happen to have open, which is the kind of file you get if you do an export from the impact estimator. So if you have a model over in the impact estimator that you want to make use of, you will get this file. It's already been really well organized to enable import in the web app. Okay, but we're just going to do this simple one for our demo. Okay, so let me tuck that away. Okay, so the first step is load the file and map the columns. Now, I'm going to go through this quite quickly. There is very thorough help under the question mark over here on each screen. So I think that will allow me to go kind of fast. Let me begin by putting that file there. You can go and browse for it, or you can drag and drop, which I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to drop it in. Okay, so it's loading. Now you'll recall my spreadsheet had 2 worksheets, so you want to make sure that it's picked up the right worksheet. And if it hadn't, I'd go click in here and go pick the right sheet, and then you have to click this button here. This is the reload button. Okay, so I can see that this is the right worksheet. So now our first step is it's read that Excel file and it's put things in columns, and then it's taken a guess as to what the items in my file, how they might correspond with what the tool's looking for. So we want to map the columns. Okay, so each of my columns, remember I had 3 columns, each one has come in as a column here. And now up here in these little boxes, I want to make sure that those are properly labeled for the data that's in the column. So I can see that the software import properly read that my unit column should be mapped to unit and measure. And I can see that it properly read my quantity column and it's mapping it to quantity. But it wasn't quite sure what to do with my materials. So we need to assign that. And all of these need an assignment so that the software knows what to do with this data that we just uploaded. Okay, so these are materials, which means I really should probably set that to flow. So I'm going to do that. Now it's giving me a message and it says, you've just made a mapping change and I need you to click the reload button. So I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to reload that. And it says, and I'll just double check. Okay, so I have a data map to flow, unit measure, quantity. Okay, I have successfully mapped my columns. So I'm ready to move on. Just a couple other notes I'll make. If there's anything here that you don't want to include or you're not quite ready to map yet, you can just turn it off here in the include, exclude column. Okay, so then we hit next, and now we're going to go over to step 2. Okay, so what happens in step 2, we need to assign the products. I need to help the software understand these material names that I imported. What am I really talking about in terms of product? So I need to go and map all of those to a table 23 identifier. So let's, what do I want to do that on? Let's do it on something fairly easy. Let's do that on cellulose insulation. And let's go see if I can find something in that table 23 product selection dialog that I think is a good match for what my import file called cellulose ints. And this is taking a moment. This will get faster as we keep working on the software, but it is a little bit slow to open. So we'll just continue to wait for that to come up. While we're waiting for that, actually, I'll take this time to explain over here, this column save to library. If any of these steps you do in this import process are you're creating a mapping rule that you want to be able to use in the future, you're going to click that plus button to save it. Okay, this finally came up, and I want to look for cellulose. Can't spell today. Let's go see what we might have available. Okay, I've got perfect. I have loose fill thermal insulation, comma cellulose. That looks pretty good to me. And also I can double check that that flow does have an environmental data set available for it. So I'm going to pick that. Everything gets populated. I'm going to accept that. Okay. Okay, so that has given me a product slash table 23 identifier and a flow name. Now, like I just said, while we were waiting for that pop-up to come up, if cellulose ints is a term that maybe I use a lot in my files and I want the software every time I import with that name to automatically assign it over here, click the plus sign right now, and it will save it to my library. Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest of these unpopulated for now, just so I can move on for speed of the demo. And let's click next. And now we're going to go to step 3. And now what we're doing is checking for alignment between my imported units of measure and the units that are expected by the software, because if they don't match, you have to provide a conversion factor. Okay, so we just have the one that I fixed. I'm ignoring the rest because I didn't fix them yet. So I imported my cellulose insulation with this unit of measure in meters squared on a 25 millimeter basis. And that is a good match with the background data. So my conversion factor is 1. In other words, I don't need a conversion factor on my quantities. The software can use my quantities exactly as they've come in. This again is similar to what I just explained on the last screen. If I had a sort of an unconventional name on a unit of measure that I wanted to store in the library for future use, just click the plus button next to it and it would save it to my library. Okay, let's move to the next step, step 4. Okay, and this step you can, if you want, you have the opportunity here to optionally assign each quantity to an element and a work result. So if you want to give a uniformat or or master format assignment to that quantity, you can do that. Otherwise, anything you don't assign will default at the level of the whole building. So I'm going to just leave those unspecified for now, but otherwise I could click in here and I get the pop-up. Go to the next screen. Okay, so all this is a chance to do a final review of everything that we've done. You can see I really only dealt with the row here on the insulation, so everything else has not been sorted, and that's fine, just for the sake of the demo. If you see anything here that needs fixing, just go back to the right step and make that fix. Okay, when everything's good to go, you click the Done button. And it's going to go and now populate that bill of materials table that was empty when we first went there. Okay. Okay, the first thing you want to do after that, because we just went through 4 steps or 4 steps of an import, you want to hit your save button right away and save that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Notice here we have all these yellows because we have not assigned most of the stuff that needs to be assigned. And you need to do that to fix that. And primarily what you have to do over here, you'll have all your flows here and your quantities and potentially your element and work result assignments. But what you won't have are your 2 background data set assignments. So you'll need to go through here and for each of these items, go pick an environmental data set. If it hasn't been picked already for you, you can see here on my insulation that I imported and properly mapped. Well, here we have a default environmental data set and a default product scenario data set. So you can go and override that. You can change that if you don't like the default. Or if in some case there wasn't a default and it says unspecified, you're going to have to go in and pick that. Okay, that's it for this video. So I'm going to stop right now and say thanks very much.